everyone. My name is Paul Quinton. I'm a teacher, healer, writer and mentor. And I come from a long line of sort of healers and psychics, growing up in a spiritual family in Portsmouth. And this really gave me a lot of insight into life beyond the physical, shall we say, and to the invisible world. So I very often sit with my family. We do sort of seances, we would do rescue work where we would bring in spirit and help people sort of move on, or beings to move on from other dimensions and the astral plane. So this was quite a common practice for me. So it really opened up to the esoteric quite early. And obviously used to have a lot of visions and, I've seen a lot of spirits, ETs and other beings over the years. In different formats, some physicals, some in my sort of dream state, some in meditation, some in astral travel. So I've had quite a mixed bag of experiences. And only probably about 5 or 6 years ago, well actually before that, I've been working as a healer since the early 2000s. Although I've been involved in it all my life, I did a few other jobs here and there, traveling around the world, etc. And then sort of came back into it early 2000. And it's only probably about 5 or 6 years ago, I came across and started working with another colleague, and she channels a being, and he came through and he introduced me to more of my spiritual family, shall we say, or light body family. And since then I've been channeling and actually writing a lot. And I've written my first book, should be published next year. And we're bringing through the consciousness for the new human paradigm. So it's a realm that already exists around us, and these are Spirit's words. And they want human beings to move into this fourth density consciousness with ease and grace, and to reconnect with the soul body. So we're becoming a sort of collective consciousness again, where we are marrying up with the soul, and the soul cannot be denied anymore. So 7 billion people right at this moment, of whether conscious or not, are having these energies shift underneath them or within them to bring them into alignment with their soul. And the soul is the feminine aspect, which most people know in this field. The feminine is starting to come back into our consciousness, and the male energy is starting to fuse again and come into balance with the female energy. And so what's happening now is for us to process all of this and to surrender to that higher consciousness of the divine feminine. We must process our emotional bodies, and we must process thousands of lives, or many multidimensional aspects of ourselves that have been sitting in suffering and striving and struggling for generations, not to mention our ancestral line. And like I said, I've been doing healing work, so I often work with my clients, and these multidimensional energies and ancestral energies come in quite a lot, because it's often these energies that are holding back the human self. So firstly, let's just get very clear on what Spirit want to do. They want to sort of break down the New Age movement in the sense of take all the misinformation out, because the reason why we're in so much trauma is because we're misinformed. And when we're misinformed with the truth, our cells divide. And when our cells divide, we cannot be in alignment with consciousness. So they are trying to take the primordial concepts away from good, bad, light, dark, evil, good, and God and devil and all the rest of it, because it's the same energy, it's just running on a different end of the polarity. So what we're doing now is getting people to not ascend somewhere, to go somewhere, because we are multidimensional beings. So on every density of creation, we exist in one of our bodies. So really there is nowhere to ascend to. What they want us to do is actually ground our God self, our light, while in a physical body. So it's having spiritual realization while in a physical body. Now, in order for us to do that, we must process our emotional bodies. And this is the number one key factor to personal survival, but planetary survival, in the sense that, yes, Spirit going to take care of everything. The polarity is starting to resolve itself. which is why we have so much chaos around the planet at the moment. Excuse me, the social unrest is the misinformation that you're seeing around the world. The social unrest is the misinformation moving out of our cellular structure. And what that's causing is because the light is activating the deep cellular memories of that consciousness, so we can come back into alignment with universal truths. Now, we are part of a galactic family, but that truth has been cut off from us. They also want to understand that even if you're an atheist in this life, you will still have a God issue. Now, God, in the sense of religious, is a program, it's an archetype, okay? Because we are already God, we're an extension of the Creator. We are a soul fused with the divine feminine, divine masculine. Now, the divine feminine, divine masculine works the same as a human, male and female, where they must come together to fuse their energy. But what we don't understand, or what's been taken from us, is the 13th. Now, the 13 number is actually it's the feminine number. Now, because the male cycle took over, and we've always gone light, dark, as in the sense of we've gone male, female in charge. You know, there's always been that polarity in balance. Now, this is what's happening as it's fusing to come into balance. Now, when the male cycle took over thousands and thousands of years ago, in order to solidify that control, that ego, that mechanism, they had to cut out the feminine. And this is why a lot of the ancient goddesses were in the temples were great healers and seers, and they were turned into prostitutes, and you know, the sex slave trade all started from these thousands of years ago. Now, that's a whole other conversation, but the point is that the divine feminine is the 13th. Now, everything is born from the 13th ray, or the 13th house, or the 13th density, and that is the feminine aspect of creation. And guess what color it is? Black. It's void, it's the darkness. Everything gets birthed from the darkness. And what does modern day or religion generally do? It cuts out the feminine, it cuts out the number 13, saying it's bad luck, and it also tells you that black is a dark, evil color. Now, these are the basics of it. Obviously, there's a lot more to it. But what we're trying to reintroduce is the color scheme is all going to change, okay? It's like people look at the color, the chakras, and they see these, you know, the green, the blue, the purple. No, all the chakras are rainbow. They have all the colors because they're all equally important. So there's a lot of things going to start changing. And coming back to the 13th, now the 13th is the feminine, like I said, it's the void, everything's birthed. So even the masculine side of God or creator, or what you want to call, was birthed from the feminine. Now the male energy sits on the 12th density, the 12th house, okay? So when souls are going to get created, the divine feminine merges with the masculine, and they get into conflict. And Spirit have told me this most people think consciousness is perfect, but it's not. And there are souls stuck on this planet at the moment, and Spirit have called them the rainbow spirits, not the rainbow children, the rainbow spirits. Now, when the creator or male and female aspects came together to fuse these souls, they were in a lot of disharmony and bickering between themselves. And these are words from Spirit, okay? This is from the channeling. And what happened is when those souls got created, it's like the male and female physical. If you're in conflict with your wife, or you know the sex is rough, or the energy is not good when you're conceiving a baby, that energy goes into the fetus. It goes into the womb. It goes through the sperm, and it creates an archetypal energy. Now it's the same as when the masculine and feminine came together. They were in conflict according to Spirit. Now when these souls were then created, they had this conflict within them, and because they were then, you know, as far as I know and what Spirit have told me in the basic term, is that when we're created, we then go out into the universes. We go out into multidimensional levels of experience, and we will attach to a light body of consciousness that's already established. Okay, now that could be on any universe, any dimension, it doesn't really matter. And what happened is these souls went out feeling abandoned, feeling unloved, feeling confused. And what's happened is they have created a lot of anger in themselves because they didn't have the parental role. And what Spirit have told me is that these souls magnetized to the earth plane, and they were not meant to be on the earth plane. Now, as Spirit has said to me, these are like the ones you see in the circus. These are people who walk down the street with their head down, but sort of cover their face, are sort of socially inept, or not really engaged in human consciousness. And what's happened is they've created so much karma with, because as soon as you have an interaction with someone, even if it's an argument, there's a karmic connection. And I'll talk about karma in a minute, because it's actually magnetics. But what you do until that's resolved, you can't leave the earth plane. And that's on a micro, macro level. So what their higher selves or souls have been trying to do, they've been trying to take them off planet for generations. And they can't get off because of the karmic patterning. And also because of all the misinformation here, we don't have access to this higher intergalactic stellar consciousness. Well, that's all changing now, thank God. However, when these souls try to come off, they create more magnetic patterns. And basically, as I've been told, we wouldn't have half the problems, well, most of the problems, as far as I know, are created through these conflicts. So the planet would be in a very, very different state if these beings weren't magnetized here. Now, I've got so many different channelings. I'm going to read off 3 channelings in a minute. And these are for the Viridian consciousness. Now, the Viridian consciousness is part of my consciousness. It's actually a light body movement that I attach to. My soul fused with how many millions, thousands of years ago. It doesn't really matter, because we're all millions of years old anyway. And so I've fused my consciousness with them. Now, these beings actually reside on the 10th density. After the 10th density, you become a complete collective again. There is no male and female, although they can show varying aspects in that androgyny. But anyway, these beings are very instrumental, as a lot of light beings, in looking after universes. They're very instrumental in creating planets, because we are, again, the same thread of consciousness, because you cannot have anything outside unless it's within. And this is why psychics, very good psychics, can see that within people's torso, the whole galaxy and the whole universe. We have the stars within us. As I said, it cannot exist outwardly unless it exists inwardly first. So these beings are very much instrumental in the creation of water, and they communicate through water, because water is a light body energy. Now, water is fluidity, okay? So water is also a great conduit for feelings, because feelings can transform and move through water very, very easily. It's the same as light. Now, light carries a frequency of love. Now, so basically light is love in active form, okay? Now, water and our bodies are made of 90% water. So we are a great conduit for feelings. This is why the human hybrid experiment, we can hold a whole array of emotions, and there's not so many other beings, as far as I know, that can handle or hold the emotional energy that human beings carry, because we are a mixture of many multidimensional, many intergalactic species, and we have many DNA components to our DNA that's made up the human. So we have many gifts, and we're starting now to awaken to those gifts, and we have a huge capacity for empathy and compassion. And that's going to start coming out. Now, all the children born after 2000 are showing that level of consciousness. They are coming through with a different energy, and they are seeding a new consciousness, and their energy is so the vibration is so high that it's starting to affect everyone around them. Now, if you talk to a lot of the children now, and they do have this huge capacity for empathy and unconditional love. And we're just in the infancy of that now, so we're not really seeing it, although some of you are parents and you see the light in your children. But understand also that this whole concept that we are meant to teach our children, yes, we teach them, but generally how it goes is the child is more evolved than the parent. And this is where, again, our society is mixed it all up and created this archetype that the parent is the right and the child needs to listen and learn. Yes, there are, of course, there's aspects of that, but we're all born with the right awareness to live on this planet. And often the children, and especially they're being labelled with ADHD and all these problems, but these children don't fit into this mental concept model, this 3D dimensional model that we're taught in our schools. And actually it's quite destructive, because it shuts down the feeling, it shuts down the feminine, and it shuts down the creativity. Now, those 3 things, the feminine, creativity, and our intuition, is the access into the unconscious, it's the access into our higher selves, our light body. So of course, there is an agenda to that, which I'm not going to get into here. Anyway, but that polarity is starting to find resonance with itself now. And what you're finding now, that the polarity that could swing before is starting to narrow. So whatever negativity we put out is coming straight back at us, because the soul in every human being is trying to connect with its human extension. Now, if we keep denying our souls, our light body, our collective consciousness, our intergalactic family, we are going to start to feel very depressed, feel very lonely. Some people are going to go mad. You're going to be sleeping 16 hours a day because the emotional body is so exhausted. And if you're not processing those emotions, you're going to shut down. And of course, worst case scenario is going to lead to illness and death. Now, this is just a universal truth. Everything works in birth, death, rebirth. It's all the same thing. And of course, there's obviously a lot of fear around this. And Spirit actually said to me as well, they said, we as human beings over these last 2,000 years have been so inept at being able to channel our own consciousness. And of course, all the society, the governments and the religion have really programmed us in a way to cut us off from that. But we've actually created a death gene. So in the ancient days, in the ancient ways, we would just sit and we'd know when it was time to leave. And you would literally sit there. And you might have a ceremony. It's okay, well, I'm leaving the planet now. And what you do is you sit down or you'd stand up, whatever ceremony, or you just do it in your own house at the time, and you'd step out of your body. And that was the most natural thing to do. And this is what we're coming back to, but we've created all this fear around the death experience, but there's no such thing as death. It's just, we are, this is the illusion. This is the matrix. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience. And this is what people don't understand, is that this is the illusion. And this illusion can be shaped through our feelings, our intentions, and our thoughts. And there's many talks and studies on that, and this is why the quantum field movement is now coming in, and this, where science has tried to debunk that whole theory, the string theory, the wave theory, parallel dimensions. It's the same as like when you look at something, an object, you define its structure, you define it, because everything in existence is looking for one thing, and that's acknowledgement of its existence. You define the state when you acknowledge something, and it creates. It's the same as like a moving target, and if you look at it, the perception and energy, whether your perception or the perception of the moving target is changed. Again, this is the quantum thing. I'm not going to go into it. I'm not a scientist, but what it does is it acknowledges that everything has consciousness. Our emotions have consciousness. Our DNA has consciousness. Everything. And you can talk. And when I'm working with my clients, I'll often talk to their anger, and I'll have a very constructive conversation. I will talk to their ego. I will talk to their inner child. And these are all living consciousnesses, and they are all forming and showing. And even what someone would term negative, like the voice in the head, that negative voice, and some people give it a name. When you talk to that, to them it's a negative, but when you talk, they've actually created it to conceal trauma because they don't want to deal with something, or because they believe they're no good, or there's inadequacy. But the energy is never that bad as we perceive it. It's just that we are misinformed of how we are made up, of how our psyche is, and how we are meant to live our lives. Now, this is not mainly our fault. This is to do with the control mechanisms around the planet, which are starting to lift now. So we are ready, and we are going to be moving into a new form of consciousness. The Spirit said to me very clearly that this realm already exists around us, and we just need to let go and move into it. And it has to be done through the conduit of trust, trusting that we don't have to worry about the future, that you can only receive what you need in the present moment. And there is nothing wrong in finding your own consciousness through your own inner self, because most people go outwardly looking for this, but to be honest, you only get your own answers in your own heart. Okay, so you can listen to all this information, do all these courses, but at the end of the day, until your emotional body is processed, until you go into the deep aspects of yourself, nothing really is going to fully change, and you're not going to get what you're looking for, that full joy, spontaneity, the improving of your health, your well-being, your thoughts becoming more neutral, becoming more balanced, more loving, because that's already inside us, because the spiritual warrior stands still and draws everything to them. We've been running on this fire energy, which is the male energy, especially in the Western world, which is stress, strive, struggle. Got to push, push, push. Now in fire, fire carries fear, fire carries anger. And that's why there's so much fear and anger on the planet. It's because we're running from that male energy. And it needs the counterpart of water, which is the feminine energy. And when those two, and this is ancient knowledge. It's very simple ancient knowledge, because when you run on too much fire, that will stress, push, you blow out your chakras, you blow out your nervous system. It frazzles the nervous system. You need water in the body to keep the nervous system, and it blows out the muscles. It blows out the skeletal system. It causes fluid retention, swelling, because that energy doesn't have the conduit. You've got to have a conductor and a receptor. You know, the receptor is the water, conductor is the fire. So they have to be in alignment with each other. And I'm actually putting a lot of workshops together at the moment. And there's going to be a first one coming out in about a month or so. With this first part of this teachings that Spirit want to give us. And it's a 3-level teaching. But I want to get into that now. What I want to do is I want to just to explain that there are teachings now coming onto the planet that are from, and these beings call themselves the union of love and light, and they're collective consciousness. The Viridians are part of that. There's many, many different threads of collective spiritual forces that come together with the same intention, and that intention, which I'm part of, and there's many light workers on the planet, are part of, you know, embracing human life, bringing it back into alignment with its prime directive, which is to integrate back into the galactic consciousness. Okay, we're about to embark into space. We're already there in truth. We already have bases on Mars and the moon. You know, there's many secret societies that have been reverse engineering ancient technology. You know, they have medical equipment that can grow back arms and legs. There's so much stuff out there. And there's going to be huge disclosures of this over the next coming years, and hopefully next few months as well. Again, I won't get into all that now. There's many other people talking about that. So what I want to do is I want to share 3 of my channelings, and I often do a channeling each week on my group on Facebook, Soultegrity. So I've just got 3 messages here, and this is one's from Gaia, and this is the type of channeling that I do. So I'm just going to read them now. So a message from Gaia. I want you all to pause for a second and remember me. Within your souls, we are one. You have very fond memories of me within your hearts and your souls. In actual fact, we are connected in more ways than you can imagine. You actually have a contract with me that assists each other on our own journey through the light, through this universe of experience. We share the same thread of consciousness as we journey forward into many realms of possibility. I want you to sync with my heartbeat and become one with yours, to extend your emotional body deep into the center of my body and let me nourish you, hold you, embrace your vulnerability. You are all scared to find sanctuary in my arms because you've been led to believe that my body is disposable, that I am just rock with no feelings or emotions. Just like some human beings believe my animal kingdom have no feelings, and so the abuse towards them continues. It's now time to come back into the womb of your physicality. I want you all to imagine you are a tree with a strong trunk, with huge branches moving out in every direction. I want you to ask the spirits that live within the rock to ground you, to nourish your emotional bodies with the etheric nutrients, the pure life force of vitamins and minerals your body needs. By the way, they are severely inhibited with modern day farming. As they replenish the etheric body, I want you to imagine moving into a field full of whatever crops or flowers your imagination wishes to show you. And then I want you to call forth the Fae, the elemental energies, asking them to work with you as you sleep, but also as you walk in your day-to-day. Now the soul has long yearned to reconnect with its physical extension, with my inner realms, because you know deep down that this gives you peace, freedom, health, and happiness, which I must say is lacking in humanity greatly. This is a time of remembrance, a time of connection. You will notice the elementals, my inner rounds, through your dreams, your imagination, on your walks through the country and parks, even your gardens at home. A flicker in the corner of your eye, a leaf on a tree flapping whilst the others are all still. I am strong, as you are. Furthermore, I can handle your emotional output. In fact, I assist you to feel in your human body. But you have all lost your connection to the mother of your bodies. And I want you to also lie on the ground and feel me through your spines. Through this exercise, I will bring grounding so you can feel safe in this shift of consciousness, and the light coming on the planet can then safely enter your auric fields. I will clear you of the toxicity if your intention is to heal. The toxicity of your emotional and mental energy that weighs you down. The fatigue in your physical body needs an outlet, so feel the soles of your feet when you stand barefoot or within your imagination in meditation. See and feel the energy leave your body, entering through my surface deep into my center. You are all worrying about me, but I assure you I have plenty of love and light around me. I want you to focus on your own lives, your own health and well-being, and start nourishing your bodies with healthy foods, blessed foods. Keep your bodies alkalined so life force can move through you with ease and grace. The alkalinity keeps your body clear, allowing information from the light to easily ground within you. If you are feeling insecure at this time, sit with the feeling and just imagine my love wrapping itself around you, and I will be there. Trust this simple process and you will start to remember me. So that's a wonderful gift from Gaia. There's just two more here, and I channeled this probably 2 weeks ago. This is human potential. So these next two are sort of current that I've put on the group, with sort of around about now what's going on. The one I'm going to read after this, I channeled on Friday last week, which was the 30th of October. And that is more current for what's happening over the next few months. Okay, so human potential. Humanity is now on the dawn of opening up to a frequency that hasn't been felt in a long time in human history. Within the great temples of Egypt, there lies a knowing of this potential, and soon you will resonate to this knowledge. The dawn of realization in many developing worlds is to first understand the gift of separation, then to remember that it was only an experience. Without separation, you cannot play in illusion. And illusion is realizing your potential without knowing you are already that potential. So, in truth, what you deem doom and gloom can never really be. Now, when this fundamental truth is felt, acknowledged, and embraced, you are ready to take the first step into realization. Because unless this truth is acknowledged, you cannot fully commit to change and transformation. There must be an inner realization to project the truth outwards in a world of illusion, to actually shape that illusion around your projected truth. And when you realize all your power comes from truth of facts, because understand your factual evidence in a world of illusion can easily be manipulated by those that are presenting a fact, because their reality is also based on their intention and what they project out. So how do we know the truth through all the facts in a world of illusion? The answer is frequency, and we are going to share a technique to assist you in feeling the truth through the facts. Facts are based on a narrative. Now, that narrative may not be in humanity's best interest, so we are asking you to question the facts, because your so-called specialists in different fields are not always who you think they are. If you allow your leaders and specialists without feeling the truth to their agenda, you run the risk of developing health issues, because misinformation divides the cells in your body. And if you have poor cellular health, your body will start to break down. So it's the frequency we want you to align with. If you bring the ancient art of fire truth into your life, the fire will burn through the misinformation, presenting the facts of the real truth. Sit quietly in a darkened room and light a candle, or if you have a fireplace and it's burning, you could sit and face the fire. Mentally call out to your soul that you wish to know the truth about a certain person, situation, statement, or whatever it is. Intention always comes first. Following this, you look into the fire, connecting in with its energy. Just stare and mentally acknowledge the life force and consciousness of the fire. As you do this, repeat into the fire whatever truth you wish to know, and ask the fire to relay this truth into your cells, into your consciousness, and finally to be felt within your heart chakra. Now, this will take time with some of you, and that's fine, because the heavy set conditioning can be worse in others. However, you need to learn to trust the feeling coming up within you and distinguish this feeling to what your mind will try and project. You also need to trust the fire, your soul, and the intention placed. This will be hard for some of you, but in truth, we are trying to get you to feel over thinking. Thinking is fickle and easily manipulated in a world of illusion. Once you harness the power to feel truth, your life will change forever, never looking back. The power lies within how you see your world and how you manage your perceptions of people in power. Because once truth is embodied, no amount of propaganda and misinformation will ever steer you off course again. And the best thing is your ability to govern your health and wealth. Unfortunately, many people on the planet believe that these two important factors of Earth life are at the whim of an outside source. And we tell you this is not the case. You must start questioning everything and get inquisitive. Great minds or pioneers don't rest on their laurels. They venture out, break rules, and search for the truth. It's time you all become pioneers and reach out beyond your reach. It's only ever been a programmed mind that has held your reach in servitude. You are all magnificent beings of absolute light and potential, and now you can start to remember this truth as fact. And then the last one, this is the one I read last week on the group. We want to express to you all the importance of understanding exactly what is going on now within your humanness. A time of great upheaval, but also a time of remembrance. Now, it's in remembrance where we find our special gifts. The gift of acknowledgement, where we separate the facts from the truth. The fact is, you are all on the precipice of a remarkable expression of the One, creating everlasting change within the human genome experiment. There are 40 levels of light codes we wish to bring to your attention. Now, within these codes of light, you are able to experience a shift of consciousness whilst in a physical body. And the alignment to these codes is key to your full expression as individual souls coming back into unity. 40 is a number of expression, and that expression is the exact same expression you have as a soul within many realms of consciousness. So, what is transpiring now is a lockdown of your minds. You are currently processing the mental energy that has kept you confused and isolated from your soul of multidimensional expressions. Trying to move away from the mind or trying to run your life from the mind will no longer serve you. And many people are struggling to let go of the mind's grip. And some of you are starting to lose it, as you say on earth. The focus now is not how we will take your life forward, but rather surrendering to the fact that it's okay now not to know what is the next step. And just take time to be present. Present in the moment gives you the confidence and awareness to take every step as the right step going forward. When you stress and fret, you magnetize a magnetic field around you, creating a bouncing effect within your auric field and succumbing to its effects, which is why people can't get out of their heads. It imprisons the mind into believing there is no escape from the fear-based thoughts. So it's important now you take time to release the mental magnetic charge that keeps you in a frenetic state. The 40 reduces to a 4, which is the soul number, and the light codes are assisting the soul to assist its human extension to open up to the wider universe by expressing itself whilst in human form. And this is really part one of for all of you blending back into universal awareness, universal life. If you feel stuck in life, it's because you are not listening to your soul's intuition. Moreover, you are still giving power over to your mind, which in turn is holding the emotional body in limbo. Do not look back, there is only forward. Change is inevitable and it's happening within, around, above and below you. Focus on the rigidity within your minds and the perception of your own life. Give space for your entire approach to start softening, to lighten up and start embracing life through the 4, the soul expression. Many of you believe you have made mistakes in life, but we assure you they have only been there to mirror your rigidity. And we say rigidity, we mean the mind's perception, and your mental perception is now on the table for all of you. And it's time to reevaluate how you perceive the world and everyone in it. So, some great messages there. So there's a lot of new information that's coming on. It's ancient information, but it's coming uncorrupted. And like, you know, obviously I've worked a lot on channeling and I've got a clear channel for myself. But also, you know, when you read or hear things, you must, like, even what I'm saying, it needs to resonate in the heart. Feel these words in the heart. Don't just take it in the mind, because again, the mind is fickle. So always feel what you're listening to, and does that feel right? And get inquisitive about information, because even in the New Age movement, there's a lot of misinformation. And Spirit really want us to stop get out of this ascension process. We're already ascended. What we're doing is now grounding consciousness into our body. All right, we are multidimensional beings. We already exist everywhere, so there's nowhere to ascend. So again, it's flipping it. If you know that all the power lies within you, and all you have to do is surrender to that power and just let go of the conditioning, isn't that much more powerful than believing you have to go out and do 20 courses, 20 affirmations a day? You've got to walk that hard road. It's a lot easier, isn't it? If you already know the power's within you, then you have to go out and get it. Because if you go out and get it, you always feel inadequate, you feel less than. And again, it's all about reversing the information that we've been told. Okay? We're already enlightened universal beings. We're just conditioned through the human experience. So we are assisting in the transference from conditioning to unconditioning. That's what this work is all about. And I'll be sharing a lot more of this work through the workshops, and I hope to see some of you guys there. So thank you for listening. It's been a wonderful time to share it with you guys, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.